Whitney Elizabeth Houston was an American singer and actress. She is one of the best-selling recording artists of all time, with sales of over 200 million records worldwide. Her singing style, which was strongly inspired by gospel music, had an innovative influence on popular music. Houston is known for her powerful, soulful vocals and vocal improvisation skills. Houston was born on August 9, 1963, in what was then a middle-income neighborhood in Newark, New Jersey. She was the daughter of ex-Army serviceman and Newark City Administrator John Russell Houston Jr. and gospel singer Emily "Sissy" Drinkard Houston. Her elder brother Michael is a songwriter and her elder half-brother is former basketball player and singer Gary Garland. Her parents were both African American, and she is said to have had Dutch and Native American ancestry. Through her mother, Houston was a first cousin of singers Dionne Warwick and Dee Dee Warwick. Her godmother was Darlene Love and her honorary aunt was Aretha Franklin, whom she met at age 8 or 9, when her mother took her to a recording studio. Houston was raised a Baptist, but was also exposed to the Pentecostal church. After the 1967 Newark riots, the family moved to a middle-class area in East Orange, New Jersey, when she was 4. Her parents later divorced. At age 11, Houston began performing as a soloist in the junior gospel choir at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, where she also learned to play the piano. Her first solo performance in the church was "Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah." While Houston was still in school, her mother Sissy continued to teach her how to sing. Sissy was a member of the group The Sweet Inspirations, which also opened for and sang backup for Elvis Presley. Houston spent some of her teens touring nightclubs where Sissy was performing, and she would occasionally get on stage and perform with her. Houston was also exposed to the music of Chaka Khan, Gladys Knight and Roberta Flack, most of whom would have an influence on her as a singer and performer. In 1977, aged 14, she became a backup singer on the Michael Zager Band's single, "Life's a Party." When she was around 16, Houston sang background vocals for Chaka Khan and Lou Rawls. Houston attended Mount St. Dominic Academy, a Catholic girls' high school in Caldwell, New Jersey. She graduated in 1981. During her teens, Houston met Robin Crawford, who she described as the sister she never had. Crawford went on to become Houston's best friend, roommate and executive assistant. After Houston rose to stardom, she and Crawford were rumored to be lovers, which they both denied in 1987. In 2019, several years after Houston's death, Crawford stated that their early relationship had included sexual activity, but that Houston ended this for fear of others' reactions. In the early 1980s, Houston began working as a fashion model after a photographer saw her at Carnegie Hall, singing with her mother. She became the first woman of color to appear on the cover of 17. She appeared in Glamour, Cosmopolitan, and Young Miss and appeared in a Canada Dry soft drink TV commercial. Her looks and girl next door charm made her one of the most sought-after teen models. In 1982, under the suggestion of longtime friend Valerie Simpson, Houston signed with Tara Productions and hired Daniel Gittelman, Seymour Flicks and Gene Harvey as her manager. Houston furthered her recording career by working with producers Michael Beinhorn, Bill Laswell, and Martin Bissey on an album they were spearheading called One Down, which was credited to the group material. In 1983, Jerry Griffith, an A&R representative from Arista Records, saw Houston performing with her mother in a New York nightclub. He convinced Arista's head Clive Davis to make time to see her perform. Davis was impressed and immediately offered a worldwide record deal, which Houston eventually signed after being alternatively sought after by another label. Houston had been offered deals by recording agencies before, by Michael Zager in 1980 and by Elektra Records in 1981, but her mother declined them on the grounds that Whitney had yet to complete high school. Later that year, Houston made her national television debut alongside Davis on The Merv Griffin Show. She performed the song Home, from the musical The Wiz. Houston did not begin work on an album immediately. The label wanted to make sure no other labels signed her away, and Davis wanted to ensure he had the right material and producers for her debut album. Some producers passed on the project because of prior commitments. Houston first recorded a duet with Teddy Pendergrass, Hold Me, which appeared on his gold album, Love Language. The single was released in 1984 and gave Houston her first taste of success, becoming a top 5 R&B hit. It would also appear on her debut album in 1985. With the guidance of Arista Records chairman Clive Davis, Houston signed to the label at age 19. Her first 2 studio albums, Whitney Houston in 1985, and Whitney in 1987, both peaked at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and are among the best-selling albums of all time. She is the only artist to have had 7 consecutive number 1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, from Saving All My Love for You, in 1985, to Where Do Broken Hearts Go, in 1988. Houston's third studio album, I'm Your Baby Tonight in 1990, continued to yield 2 Billboard Hot 100 number 1 singles, I'm Your Baby Tonight, and All the Man That I Need. Houston made her acting debut with the romantic thriller film The Bodyguard in 1992. At the time of its release, the film was the 10th highest-grossing film of all time. However, it received negative reviews for its screenplay and performances of the lead actors. She recorded 6 songs for the film's soundtrack, including I Will Always Love You, which won the Grammy Award for Record of the Year, and became the best-selling physical single by a female in music history. The soundtrack for The Bodyguard won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year, and remains the best-selling soundtrack album of all time. Houston went on to star and record soundtracks for 2 high-profile films, Waiting to Exhale in 1995, and The Preacher's Wife in 1996. Soundtrack of The Preacher's Wife, which was produced by Houston, became the best-selling gospel album of all time. As a film producer, she produced multicultural movies including Cinderella in 1997, and series including The Princess Diaries and The Cheetah Girls. Houston's first studio album in 8 years, My Love Is Your Love in 1998, sold millions and spawned several hit singles, including Heartbreak Hotel, It's Not Right But It's Okay, and My Love Is Your Love. Following the success, she renewed her contract with Arista for $100 million, one of the biggest recording deals of all time. However, her personal problems began overshadowing her career, and the 2002 studio album Just Whitney received mixed reviews. Throughout the 1980s, Houston was romantically linked to musician Jermaine Jackson, American football star Randall Cunningham, and actor Eddie Murphy. She then met R&B singer Bobby Brown at the 1989 Soul Train Music Awards. After a 3-year courtship, the two were married on July 18, 1992. Brown would go on to have several run-ins with the law for drunken driving, drug possession, and battery, including some jail time. On March 4, 1993, Houston gave birth to their daughter Bobby Christina Brown, the couple's only child. Houston revealed in a 1993 interview with Barbara Walters that she had a miscarriage during the filming of The Bodyguard. Though Houston was seen as a good girl with a perfect image, in the 1980s and early 1990s, her behavior had changed by 1999 and 2000. She was often hours late for interviews, photo shoots, and rehearsals. She cancelled concerts and talk show appearances, and there were reports of erratic behavior. Missed performances and weight loss led to rumors about Houston using drugs with her husband. On January 11, 2000, while traveling with Brown, airport security guards discovered half an ounce of marijuana in Houston's handbag at Keyhole Kona International Airport in Hawaii, but she departed before authorities could arrive. Charges against her were later dropped, but rumors of drug usage by Houston and Brown would continue to surface. 2 months later, Clive Davis was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Houston had been scheduled to perform at the event, but was a no-show. Shortly thereafter, Houston was scheduled to perform at the Academy Awards, but was fired from the event by musical director and longtime friend Burt Bacharach. Her publicist cited throat problems as the reason for the cancellation. In his book The Big Show, High Times and Dirty Dealings Backstage at the Academy Awards, author Steve Pond revealed that Houston's voice was shaky, she seemed distracted and jittery, and her attitude was casual, almost defiant, and that while Houston was supposed to perform Over the Rainbow, she would start singing a different song during rehearsals. Houston later admitted to having been fired. In May 2000, Houston's longtime executive assistant and friend Robin Crawford resigned from Houston's management company in 2019. Crawford asserted that she had left Houston's employ, after Houston declined to seek help for her drug dependency. The following month, Rolling Stone published a story stating that Cissy Houston and others had held a July 1999 intervention, in which they unsuccessfully attempted to persuade Whitney to obtain drug treatment. In August 2001, Houston signed one of the biggest record deals in music history, with Arista BMG. She renewed her contract for $100 million to release 6 new albums, for which she would also earn royalties. She later made an appearance on Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary special, where her extremely thin frame further spurred rumors of drug use. Her publicist stated, "Whitney has been under stress due to family matters, and when she is under stress she doesn't eat." In a 2009 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Houston acknowledged that drug use had been the reason for her weight loss. She was scheduled for a second performance the following night, but cancelled it. Within weeks, Houston's rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner would be re-released after the September 11 attacks, with the proceeds donated to the New York firefighters' 9/11 Disaster Relief Fund and the New York Fraternal Order of Police. The song peaked at number 6 this time on the US Hot 100, topping its previous position. In 2002, Houston became embroiled in a legal dispute with John Houston Enterprise. Although the company was started by her father to manage her career, it was actually run by company president Kevin Skinner. Skinner filed a breach of contract lawsuit and sued for $100 million, but lost, stating that Houston owed the company previously unpaid compensation for helping to negotiate her $100 million contract with Arista Records and for sorting out legal matters. Houston stated that her 81-year-old father had nothing to do with the lawsuit. Although Skinner tried to claim otherwise, John Houston never appeared in court. Houston's father later died in February 2003. The lawsuit was dismissed on April 5, 2004, and Skinner was awarded nothing. Also in 2002, Houston gave an interview with Diane Sawyer to promote her then upcoming album. During the primetime special, she spoke about her drug use and marriage, among other topics. Addressing the ongoing drug rumors, she said, "First of all, let's get one thing straight, crack is cheap. I make too much money to ever smoke crack. Let's get that straight, we don't do crack, crack is whack." Houston did, however, admit to using alcohol, marijuana, cocaine and pills. She also acknowledged that her mother had urged her to seek help regarding her drug use. She also denied having an eating disorder, and that her very thin appearance was connected to drug use. She further stated that Bobby Brown had never hit her, but acknowledged that she had hit him. In December 2002, Houston released her 5th studio album, Just Whitney. The album included productions from then-husband Bobby Brown, as well as Missy Elliott and Babyface, and marked the first time that Houston did not produce with Clive Davis, as Davis had been released by top management at BMG. Upon its release, Just Whitney received mixed reviews. The album debuted at number 9 on the Billboard 200 chart, and it had the highest first-week sales of any album Houston had ever released. The 4 singles released from the album did not fare well on the Billboard Hot 100, but became dance chart hits. Just Whitney was certified platinum in the United States and sold approximately 2 million worldwide. In late 2003, Houston released her first Christmas album, One Wish, the Holiday Album, with a collection of traditional holiday songs. Houston produced the album with Mervyn Warren and Gordon Chambers. A single titled One Wish for Christmas reached the top 20 on the Adult Contemporary chart, and the album was certified gold in the US. In December 2003, Bobby Brown was charged with battery following an altercation, during which he threatened to beat Houston and then assaulted her. Police reported that Houston had visible injuries to her face. Having always been a touring artist, Houston spent most of 2004 touring and performing in Europe, the Middle East, Asia and Russia. In September 2004, she gave a surprise performance at the World Music Awards in a tribute to longtime friend Clive Davis. After the show, Davis and Houston announced plans to go into the studio to work on her new album. In early 2004, husband Bobby Brown starred in his own reality TV program, Being Bobby Brown on Bravo. The show provided a view of the domestic goings-on in the Brown household. Though it was Brown's vehicle, Houston was a prominent figure throughout the show, receiving as much screen time as Brown. The series aired in 2005 and featured Houston in unflattering moments. Years later, The Guardian opined that through her participation in the show, Houston had lost the last remnants of her dignity. The Hollywood Reporter said that the show was undoubtedly the most disgusting and execrable series ever to ooze its way onto television. Despite the perceived train wreck nature of the show, the series gave Bravo its highest ratings in its time slot, and continued Houston's successful forays into film and television. The show was not renewed for a second season after Houston stated that she would no longer appear in it, and Brown and Bravo could not come to an agreement for another season. After years of controversy and turmoil, Houston separated from Bobby Brown in September 2006 and filed for divorce the following month. On February 1, 2007, Houston asked the court to fast-track the divorce. The divorce was finalized on April 24, 2007, and Houston was granted custody of Bobby Christina. On May 4, Houston sold the suburban Atlanta home featured in Being Bobby Brown for $1.19 million. A few days later, Brown sued Houston in Orange County, California, seeking child and spousal support from Houston, on the basis that financial and emotional problems had prevented Brown from properly responding to the divorce petition. Brown lost at his court hearing, leaving Houston with full custody and Brown with no spousal support. Houston gave her first interview in 7 years in September 2009, appearing on Oprah Winfrey's season premiere. The interview was billed as the most anticipated music interview of the decade. Whitney admitted on the show to having used drugs with former husband Bobby Brown during their marriage. Houston said Brown had laced marijuana with rock cocaine. She told Oprah that before The Bodyguard her drug use was light, that she used drugs more heavily after the film's success and the birth of her daughter, and that by 1996 doing drugs was an everyday thing. She said, "I wasn't happy by that point in time, I was losing myself." Houston told Oprah that she had attended a 30-day rehabilitation program. Houston also acknowledged to Oprah that her drug use had continued after rehabilitation, and that at one point, her mother obtained a court order and the assistance of law enforcement to press her into receiving further drug treatment. In her 2013 book, Remembering Whitney, My Story of Love, Loss and the Night the Music Stopped, Cissy Houston described the scene she encountered at Whitney Houston's house in 2005 as follows. "Somebody had spray painted the walls and door with big glaring eyes and strange faces. Evil eyes, staring out like a threat. In another room, there was a big framed photo of Whitney, but someone had cut her head out. It was beyond disturbing, seeing my daughter's face cut out like that." This visit led Cissy to return with law enforcement and perform an intervention. Houston also told Oprah that Bobby Brown had been emotionally abusive during their marriage, and had even spat on her on one occasion. Houston released her new album, I Look to You, in August 2009. The album's first two singles were the title track I Look to You and $1 Million Bill. The album entered the Billboard 200 at number 1, with Houston's best opening week sales of 305,000 copies, marking Houston's first number 1 album since The Bodyguard, and Houston's first studio album to reach number 1 since 1987's Whitney. Houston also appeared on European television programs to promote the album. She performed the song I Look to You on the German television show Wetten das. Houston appeared as guest mentor on The X Factor in the United Kingdom. She performed $1 Million Bill on the following day's results show, completing the song even as a strap in the back of her dress popped open 2 seconds into the performance. She later commented that she sang herself out of her clothes. The performance was poorly received by the British media and was described as weird and ungracious. Despite this reception, $1 Million Bill jumped to its peak from 14 to number 5, her first UK top 5 for over a decade. Houston later embarked on a world tour, entitled the Nothing But Love World Tour. It was her first world tour in over 10 years and was announced as a triumphant comeback. However, some poor reviews and rescheduled concerts brought negative media attention. Houston cancelled some concerts because of illness, and received widespread negative reviews from fans who were disappointed in the quality of her voice and performance. Some fans reportedly walked out of her concerts. In May 2011, Houston enrolled in a rehabilitation center again, citing drug and alcohol problems. A representative for Houston said that the outpatient treatment was a part of Houston's long-standing recovery process. Houston reportedly appeared disheveled and erratic in the days immediately prior to her death. On February 9, 2012, Houston visited singers Brandy and Monica, together with Clive Davis, at their rehearsals for Davis's pre-Grammy Awards party at the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills. That same day, she made her last public performance when she joined Kelly Price on stage in Hollywood, California, and sang Jesus Loves Me. 2 days later, on February 11, Houston was found unconscious in Suite 434, at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, submerged in the bathtub. Beverly Hills paramedics arrived at approximately 3:30 p.m., found Houston unresponsive and performed CPR. Houston was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The cause of death was not immediately known. Local police said there were no obvious signs of criminal intent. On March 22, 2012, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office reported that Houston's death was caused by drowning and the effects of atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use. The office stated the amount of cocaine found in Houston's body indicated that she used the substance shortly before her death. Toxicology results revealed additional drugs in her system, including diphenhydramine Benadryl, alprazolam Xanax, cannabis and cyclobenzaprine Flexeril. The manner of death was listed as an accident. Moments after news of her death emerged, CNN, MSNBC and Fox News all broke from their regularly scheduled programming to dedicate time to non-stop coverage of Houston's death. All three featured live interviews with people who had known Houston, including those that had worked with her along with some of her peers in the music industry. Saturday Night Live displayed a photo of a smiling Houston, alongside Molly Shannon from her 1996 appearance. MTV and VH1 interrupted their regularly scheduled programming on Sunday, February 12, to air many of Houston's classic videos, with MTV often airing news segments in between and featuring various reactions from fans and celebrities. The first full hour after the news of Houston's death broke, saw 2,481,652 tweets and retweets on Twitter alone, equating to a rate of more than 1,000 tweets every second. Houston's former husband Bobby Brown was reported to be in and out of crying fits after receiving the news. He did not cancel a scheduled performance, and within hours of his ex-wife's sudden death, an audience in Mississippi observed as Brown blew kisses skyward, tearfully saying, "I love you, Whitney." An invitation-only memorial service was held for Houston on Saturday, February 18, 2012, at the New Hope Baptist Church in Newark, New Jersey. The service was scheduled for 2 hours, but lasted 4. Among those who performed at the funeral was Stevie Wonder, with a rewritten version of Ribbon in the Sky, and Love's in Need of Love Today, CeCe Winans Don't Cry, Jesus Loves Me, Alicia Keys Send Me an Angel, Kim Burrell with a rewritten version of A Change Is Gonna Come, and R. Kelly I Look to You. The performances were interspersed with hymns by the church choir, and remarks by her record producer, Clive Davis, actor Kevin Costner, Ricky Minor, her music director, her cousin Dionne Warwick, and Ray Watson, her security guard for the past 11 years. Aretha Franklin was listed on the program and was expected to sing, but was unable to attend the service. Bobby Brown was also invited to the funeral, but departed shortly after the service began. Houston was buried on February 19, 2012, in Fairview Cemetery in Westfield, New Jersey, next to her father John Russell Houston, who died in 2003. In June 2012, the McDonald's Gospelfest in Newark became a tribute to Houston. According to representatives from Houston record label, Houston sold 3.7 million albums and 4.3 million singles worldwide in the first 10 months of the year she died. Thanks for watching. For more videos, please click like and subscribe.